Guys, Chris here with Super Savvy Travelers. Hey, before I do anything, please like this video and subscribe to our channel. We got a lot of really important information coming up. Hi guys, Chris here with Super Savvy Travelers. Hey, I wanted to take a break from our normal programming today to talk to you a little bit about the botulism scare in Calabria. And when I say in Calabria, I mean very close to where we were in Calabria just a few days ago. What we know about this particular botulism case is that there so far were 9 people affected, all of them in the hospital, except for one guy who actually died. And what happened was most of the people that were affected were treated in the area where the botulism occurred and down in Cosenza. And in Cosenza, they were able to get some of the antitoxin from one of the hospitals in Toronto, and they all came to the hospital in Cosenza. Unfortunately for the person who died, it seems maybe he wanted to get back to Naples, made it as far as Lago Negro, the hospital there, and unfortunately, I don't think they had the antitoxin there, and he died as a result of the exposure. Now, we also know that this occurred on the Lungomare, in a food truck, on the Lungomare in Diamante. So right along that Lungomare where you always see me walking and saying how beautiful it is, and it is beautiful. There was apparently a food truck parked there. People were eating sandwiches that had sausages and broccoli rape in it, and as a result, they became sick. Now, we looked at the website for the guy with the food truck. The food truck looks fine. It looks nice and clean. The sandwiches look delicious, so there was no outward appearance that these things might be affected, but they were. So there's an investigation now going on into this person and to find out what exactly happened. Did they come from this food truck? Was it something else? It looks pretty much like they all ate the same thing. So I was doing a little research on botulism. First of all, it's very rare, which is kind of surprising to me, but it's very rare. Usually less than 1,000 cases worldwide every year. And of those cases, 5 to 10% people die from them, probably from lack of adequate treatment or whatever. Anyway, botulism is a toxin. It comes from spores and it's a toxin. And when people eat food that's affected, notably sausages, in fact, botulism, the word botulism comes from the word sausage because when they first discovered botulism back in the 1700s and the 1800s, it had been as a result of tainted sausages. So who knows if it came from the sausages or the vegetables. It's also a result of improper canning, or, various things that have to do with food preparation. Canning specifically, you have to be so careful with it. And a lot of people can at home, but it just makes it that much more vital that you really have to know what you're doing in order to can things. In order to be safe, if you want to, first of all, I'm not a doctor. Let's make that clear. But I'm reading online that in order to be safe, you can boil the food for a certain amount of time at a certain temperature and kill off the toxin. It won't kill off the spores, but it will kill off the toxin. There's a lot to it here that I'm reading online. Now, what happens when you get botulism is it is a paralytic, right? Neurological paralytic, and also can affect your gastrointestinal tract. But what happens generally, one of the symptoms that I'm reading about is that you have trouble with your eyes, double vision, drooping eyelids, the facial nerves and whatnot that happen around your face tend to not work at all. And you might have drooping, you might have dry saliva, and then it just goes from there on down. And can be really, really dangerous because once it hits like your breathing mechanisms and things, and even swallowing is a problem, it can become fatal. So I'm not going to really harp on that because, like I said, it's very rare. It's really unusual that it would happen in a place like this. But again, sausages or improperly prepared foods and that sort of thing is something you really want to watch out for. Now, I want to give a big shout out to, the health and the food preparation and all of the agencies in Italy that deal with that stuff. I have never gotten sick on food here. And I know, having decided to not serve breakfast at Casa Cristina and instead send you to the bar to get your breakfast there, You know, we went through all of that stuff and all of these study that you have to do and all of the licenses that you have to do in order to be legally selling food. They're very comprehensive. And so these restaurants that are out there that have been working for years and years and years, they are experts. They're experts in food storage, food preparation. Not only is the food good food and nourishing when you get it, but it's also delicious. So these cooks and things here in Italy, all over Italy, are super bravi. And like I said, I've never once gotten sick. So how are you going to avoid botulism poisoning? Well, there's a lot of things you can do. First of all, you got to be really careful about any sort of prepared you know, foods like canned foods and things like that, specifically the low acid foods, things like, you know, vegetables and things that don't have a lot of acid. Now, I notice in Calabria, they use a lot of vinegar. That's probably why. Like a lot of the things are fermented or they're stored in vinegar, and they're delicious, but it also helps keep that particular germ down. There's a lot of techniques that they use and that sort of thing. I would be careful with that. I certainly would not eat on any food trucks. Now, who knows? I mean, a fixed restaurant in a fixed location has to be good. One case of food poisoning will close a restaurant down. No one will eat there if they hear about that. So with that said, fixed location restaurants have to be on the ball. They poison one person and that's it, you know? A food truck, theoretically, if he doesn't get shut down or whatever, could go get a license and go pop up somewhere else. I don't know about food trucks for that reason. And I don't know if they are held to the same standard. I would imagine they kind of are, but how did this one slip through the cracks? Were they licensed? Were they certified? And that kind of thing. So I would stay away from that. I would stay away from any food vendors on the beaches or anything like that. I would only eat in the restaurants that have been there for a long time. And I would only buy artisanal products that you can pretty much see have been prepared correctly. You know, they're sealed in a certain way or whatever. Again, this is very rare. I've never heard of botulism poisoning anywhere in my life other than when we were kids. You know, don't buy dented cans. That's another thing. If they're dented cans, you know, anything that has been kind of opened or an entry point for anything to get into would be something you want to avoid. That said, go to Calabria and enjoy it there. Enjoy the food, enjoy the tourism, enjoy all of it, all over Italy. It is really wonderful. I mean, I've eaten the best food here than I've ever eaten in my life, and I would a million times rather go to a restaurant here in Italy than I would, say, in California. Sorry, California restaurants, but the food that you get here is better because it's more natural. It's organic because it's grown that way, not because it's bought organic and that kind of thing. So they start out with a much better food product. So in any case, we're going to keep an eye on this whole thing and see how it plays out. Hopefully these people all got treatment where they were supposed to get it and got it in time, and there's no ongoing neurological damage with it. It's a very scary thing, but again, very, very rare. And if you're careful, you'll never have to worry about it. So there you go, guys. I think I covered everything. If not, I'll do another video and let you know. But there you go. If anything changes, we're here, and we'll see you soon.